Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm really excited to kick things off as we head into like our next phase. There are a lot of outside noises going on right now, but my kids made slime this past weekend, enough for all of them to play together, and they used Tide with some Febreze thingy-majigger, and it smells so strong that when I sit in my kitchen, I get a headache. So I'm like, I'm gonna be outside for the rest of the afternoon. They're like, it smells so good. I'm like, I could like taste it. You know, like when something soapy is so strong, your taste buds start feeling like you're eating soap. So anyway, there's birds chirping and water from our turtles, but I'm excited to dig in tonight. We've got some new people that we're welcoming into our group as we head into July and August, and we kind of finish summer strong. We have people coming in that are going to be doing Morning Meltdown 100, which I'm really excited about that, you guys. For those of us that are coaches, we were able to purchase it early and get the first 10 workouts, and we have to do them by the 15th because then they're going to take them away. So it's been really cool. For those of you in our group who are like wondering about the program, I just wanted to mention it's an early release opportunity. So Morning Meltdown 100 will become part of Beachbody On Demand in October. But for those who want to do it early, there are different varieties of ways to unlock it and purchases you can make to do that. So just talk to your coach. I got my materials yesterday. It is like a really nice hardbound journal that you get, which I'm a journal. You journal through each day, and there's a lot of stuff in it on mindset, and that's why I'm excited because that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight. It's just I get excited when new programs come out, you know, because it's nice to have something new. But there are definitely been times that something I feel like comes out and it speaks more to where I'm at and what I need. And that was last summer when Lift 4 came out. I love that program. It's 4 days a week. It's lifting. I love Joel. I loved the whole program. I did it twice and got really good results and found it helped me in my rhythm. But what I also had on my bucket list for a long time is to do the program P90X. It's like an old program. It's like the original. And I love Tony Horton. But they're an hour long, the workouts. This is 100 days, but there's 20 to 30 minutes long. So I feel like this is baby stepping me towards that big goal on my bucket list, you know, and making it realistic for our lives as busy women. Some of us with kids, some of us with jobs, some of us with, you know, both. So I'm excited about it. I love Jericho. I love how she teaches, and it's really fun. So I've been enjoying it, especially in the season where I'm healing still from my mono and low iron and different things. I've been working with my doctor. I've been able to follow the modifier and get a good workout in and not drain me. And that feels good too. So if you are curious about doing it, talk to your coach and they can send you more info. You can try the sneak peek free workout. I think it's posted in the group even. And just see, because sometimes things like this, sometimes when you find what they call like your soulmate workout, but when you find the one that gets you motivated to do the things, that's a part of the puzzle. So definitely consider it. And so I just wanted to mention that because it actually releases on Monday the 15th. So you order it that day and you immediately have access to the workouts that day. The pre-workouts, because the program itself starts on the 29th. And what I love the Beachbody does now is they release them in real time. So like you only get a week at a time, which is kind of fun. Because you kind of have to, I don't know, it just makes it more engaging and exciting. Of course, now we're spoiled. So when you go to do something like PiYo and it's all there in front of you, you're like, oh, this is kind of boring now. Because you're like, you know, but it's not, it's all good. So that's a little bit of information about that. If you've seen some of us talking about it, I wanted to let you know. And I want to welcome everyone new who's coming in this week. So what I want to talk to you about is I've been reading this book by John C. Maxwell called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I picked it up about a week and a half ago, and I'm reading like a chapter a week because each chapter is a law, and he gives so much to chew on. And actually, the law that I want to talk to you about tonight is called the Law of the Mirror. And this chapter I read twice because it was just one of those that spoke deeply to me. And I was thinking about it as we were heading into this challenge, and some of us are recommitting, some of us are digging into the next level, some of us are committing for the first time. I thought it was perfect timing. In our challenge groups, you have 4 parts that are part of the equation that help you to reach your results that you want. And the first is your nutrition. You know, we promote lots of supplements and things. You know, a lot of us are big Shakeology fans or Performance Line fans, plus there's 2B Mindset, Ultimate Portion Fix. There's so many guides to help you with your nutrition. Workouts, getting moving every day. There's so many different options and programs, and we talk about that, picking a program and following the calendar and you know, giving yourself grace but not letting yourself off the hook. Those are two really important parts of the equation. But the second two are the heart work, your mindset. And the fourth is community. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the last two tonight, because you can outthink your workout and you can overthink your nutrition. And that can derail you. How many times do I hear and I say, even in my past, have said, I'm just not motivated right now, or I just don't feel like it, or I just am not seeing any results, or I'm just stuck, or I don't feel like anything's going well. That happens in seasons to all of us. And so tonight I want to give you some tools and a little bit of a call to action at the end of how to help you set yourself up for success in all four areas. Because there are going to be seasons when you're doing your nutrition that you plateau and you got to figure out why. It could, you know what I mean? It could be you got to go up a bracket or down a bracket, or you got to take something out for a little while. But that can't derail you, and it won't if your mindset's in a good spot. Or when your workouts might need to change, because maybe the program you were doing, like I love Transform 20, but I had to stop it because it was not good for my adrenals right now, because it's like hardcore pumping for 20 minutes and it was shocking my body. Like, and if Kelly of 6 years ago would have had happened, it would have been like, well, it's just because I'm broken and I don't ever do anything right. Because that's what I used to say to myself. Well, nothing ever works for me. And now when I start to say those things, I know immediately, like, stop. But it took the heart work. So what I want to mention, start off with a few questions just to think about tonight. How do you feel when you look in the mirror? And I'm not talking about like just your appearance, like who you are. Like, how do you feel? Because this is called the law of the mirror. When you think about yourself, are you quick to identify what you're not good at? Or are you quick to notice the areas of that you are good at? Are you quick to notice the areas of your body that you see as flawed and you'd like to fix them? Or do you look at areas of your body and see a strong person who's working hard and see like progress that's being made? The reason I share this is because I think sometimes this is the hardest part, because we're so comfortable in our comfort zone of the negative self-talk that we're afraid to step away from it and find a place where we actually like who we are and the skin we're in. And to me, that has been my journey for 6 years. I started my challenge group 6 years ago as a challenger, and I became a coach right away. Mostly to save money. And then later it became something I'm very passionate about. And what I found in that is that as much as I was losing weight, I was losing emotional weight. I was losing the self-bullying. I was losing the negative self-talk. So something that John Maxwell says in this chapter, he quotes Zig Ziglar, and the quote says, "It's impossible to consistently behave in a manner inconsistent with how we feel about ourselves. We can do very few things in positive ways if we feel negative about who we are." So you can eat healthy, but if you don't like yourself, that's not going to last very long. And I know for me, my emotional eating always jumped in when I would fall into self-hatred. I had a lot of self-hatred. When I would lose my temper with my kids, I would get really mad at myself. And that's when I would eat. And I would eat to make myself feel sick because I was mad at myself. And, you know, this is hard, y'all. I know it's like the first week, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because I want you to be working on the heart as much as you're working on the body, because we're body and soul. And I want you to have a plan, because this is not going to be fixed overnight. But man, when you know that you're committed to this, when you hit your goal on the scale, you're going to hit another goal in who you are and loving who you are that you can't measure. And that's the hope of this group. You know, it's not just, I want to lose 10 pounds so I can feel comfortable in a bathing suit with my kids at the beach at the end of the month. I want to not feel like I'm controlled by food anymore, and I want to find my worth. I want to look in the mirror at my stretch marks and say, that's a sign that I gave life. Like, I want to, you know, when I hit a hard point, to be able to say, it's not because I'm flawed and broken, it's because I got to figure out the answer. And the ways to do that are what I'm going to share tonight, and they're all from the chapter in this book, which is why personal development, whether you're reading the 100 Days to Brave, or I recommend finding a book or a podcast or an audio book to listen to that will speak to whatever area maybe pops up tonight. And if you need suggestions, you can ask in the group, you can ask your coach. But these are the things John Maxwell talks about. And the reason I love it is because, as you guys know, or some of you might not know, in the last year, it's been a rough year for me, starting in January. And we had, you know, I had some health issues pop up where I was told I had to stop working out. And then I found that I was pregnant. Right when I was cleared to work out again, I found out I was pregnant, which I was very excited about, but couldn't work out anymore because I felt sick as a dog. And then right when I was starting to feel better and work out again, I lost the baby. And then I was told that I had to go through that whole process, and I hemorrhaged, I became anemic, and then I couldn't do anything. And then it was like this whole thing of feeling so out of control that I started to slip back into the old comfort zone of self-criticizing myself, self-negative self-talk, self-blame. And thankfully, like, I go to therapy every week, and I was talking with my therapist, but I even felt stuck in therapy. I picked up this book. I've been reading the 100 Days to Brave and enjoying it. But I just felt like I bought this book like last year after he and Rachel Hollis interviewed him, and John Maxwell said this is one of the best books he ever, out of all the bazillion ones he's written. And I love him. I've read a lot of his books, but he said this was like his top book, because if you don't have a growth plan, what's the point? And when I read this chapter, it's why I had to read it twice, because even after 6 years, I had to recalibrate what I'm seeing when I look in the mirror. So like, even now when I get in the mirror and I look in the mirror now, this morning I was trying on pants for church. It was uncomfortable. Some of them still don't fit yet. And I was like getting mad and stuff. And I'm like, no, like, think of what it's going to feel like when you do. And I've learned that. And I had to learn that through unlearning some of the things that he talks about tonight. So the first thing he says is you need to guard your self-talk. Be aware of how you talk to yourself. Like, slow down enough to pay attention to how you talk to yourself. And don't beat yourself up if you talk negative about yourself. Just notice it. You know, something that has been shared before is you can do what's called like a negative thought journal. He talked about on your smartphone, you could, like, every time you say something negative, you could actually write down what you said. And every time you say something positive, write it down for like a whole day and kind of take inventory of overall, how do you speak to yourself? Or you could just make a tick mark, you know, like put an N for negative and a P for positive, and just every time a negative thought comes, you check it off, and every time a positive, you check it off. And it's just turning the light on to make you aware. It's not for you to feel bad about yourself. We all have days that are a you-know-what storm, and we say a lot of negative things. But if you're not willing to put the light on, it's really easy to just keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he says, you know, and then like when you're aware of it, then you can start to guard your self-talk. When you hear yourself saying negative things, you can turn it off and like just pause, you know, and take a moment to like just breathe and see what positive things you can start to focus on. So that's the first kind of thing he says to do, is kind of make yourself aware. Number 2, stop comparing yourself to other people. We talked about this last week a little bit. The only person you need to compare yourself to is who you were yesterday. Are you doing better today? If you were a little bit better every day, like there's that whole, and I know it's not mathematically correct, but if you did 1% better every single day, then in 365 days, you'd be 365% better. But that's all you need to compare yourself to, you know. And if you are comparing yourself to other people and to make yourself feel better about yourself, that's pride. And if you're comparing yourself to people and you're self-bullying yourself, that's kind of pride too, in a reverse way. So just turn it off. Turn off the comparison. Number 3, move beyond limiting beliefs. And this was something that he talked about in here that was really good. Like, They actually had a quote right here I was going to share. He says that when a man puts a limit on what he will do, he's put a limit on what he can do. So sometimes people will be like, well, I will never do that. Don't say that if it's a positive thing. You know, don't put limits on it just because it's not something you can do right now. You know, I mean, I'd love to be like, yeah, I'm going to go in there and do 10 pull-ups. Well, that's not going to happen today. Like, not even with a chair assist. But when you see a limiting belief, he said to pause for a moment and turn it around to a statement that you look forward to. So, for example, if you were to say, like, you know, whenever you think about losing weight, you're to say, like, I could never lose 10 pounds because every time I ever try means there's vacation and then we're going to this and then there's going to be that. You're putting a limit on what you can do. Instead, say, when I lose this weight, it's going to feel so good. And making a hope statement in response. And he talks about determine how it's limiting you and decide how you want to feel instead and just correct yourself right then. You could even write it down if it's a reoccurring one that happens a lot. Like, I had one for a long time. It still pops up. You don't belong here. You don't belong here. And I remember a friend of mine, I talked to her about it and she was like, I more than belong because I was made for community and I love how it feels to be around people. And just to say something positive. And it's hard because if you're anything like me, when people used to say this stuff, I would immediately shut off my ears because I thought I was stupid, like hippie talk. And you know what I mean? Like hug a tree. But it's not. It's called psychology and it's good. You know, it's good. And if you have a limiting belief about your strength and what you're capable of, like Angie's on here, something she told me one time when I was stuck was, well, you can do hard things. And we laugh whenever a trainer says it on the videos because we believe she gets royalties for it. She should, because I think she made it up. But, you know, repeat that turnaround statement to yourself. Like, take some time to pay attention to it. You know, we could do a whole call on how to develop turnaround statements. Number 4, so then that first 3 were kind of like stop behaviors, right? Like stop, like stop being negative, stop comparing, and stop the limiting beliefs. The next ones are more like what we call go behaviors. Adding value to others. When you're busy, like in our challenge group, encouraging other people and being positive, it's really hard to have space to be negative towards yourself. It's hard for you to criticize yourself when you're genuinely kind to other people, even in your home. Being kind in your home, being kind at work, being kind in our group, adding value. Number 5, do the right thing even if it's hard. Just do it. Just make the decision that you're going to do the right thing and take the emotion out of it and just do it. Like, if you're supposed to drink your shake every day and there's one day that the little inner 4-year-old in you, I don't know if anybody has one of those, I do, and they're like, I don't want to do it. Just do it. You know what I mean? Like, some things you can't talk yourself into, you just have to decide to do. It's kind of like you just turn on the workout and you say first 10 minutes, and if I'm done, if I'm still not in it, then I'll quit. And usually in 10 minutes, unless I'm really sick or something, I'm usually feeling good by then and I will stay in the workout. You know what I mean? Like, just drink the Energize and press play. Like, just pick up the book and read 5 pages. Just do it. Like, some things you just have to do. Number 6, he says to practice a small discipline daily in one area. So we talked last week about, and if you're new to the group, there's an old call that's on, that is on like things that stall out your journey. And we talked about like picking one thing a week to focus on. You know, you don't want to go chop a tree down in one day. You chop it down by chopping a little bit every day, especially if it's huge. So maybe your focus this first week is to drink your shake every day. And if you're already doing that, maybe it's to hit your water goal and you chip at that. And then your next day, you want to do a workout, but you don't know which one. Like Angie talked about this before, like put on your workout clothes and turn on the DVD and watch it for a week because you're creating a habit. And then the next week you have the courage to do 10 minutes of it. And then the next week you do 20. Like, it's okay if it takes a little longer in the front to build the habit because it's going to last over time than you trying to do everything at once and getting overwhelmed. And then you start negative self-talking and then you quit. So Practice small disciplines daily. Maybe it's getting up 20 minutes early to read your personal development and prayer time and to journal. You have to decide what that is for you. Number 7 is to celebrate small victories. So this one I'm huge about. Like he said, you know, when you do something well, there's 2 ways to respond. You could say, well, it's about time, or I didn't do as much as I should have, or that won't really make that big a difference, or it's hopeless, I'll never really succeed. Or you could say, it's good I did that. I did the right thing. Every little bit helps. I'm that much closer to success. There's a shift. I mean, and this really helped me back after my 6th baby. I was having, number 6 or number 7? Number 7. I was having some postpartum, and when I get postpartum, my negative gets really bad. And I remember at one point, someone would be like, what did you get to do today? Oh, I only did this, and I didn't really do much of anything. And a friend of mine, who's a mentoring friend in our coach network, Summer Tucker, said to me, like, go write down a list of everything you did well every day for like a week and see how you feel. And y'all, I literally still do it. And as soon as I fall out of the habit, and if I find myself slipping, I go back. And you know, my list sometimes is, I made my bed, brushed my teeth, I fed my kids, I read for 5 minutes, I didn't yell at my 4-year-old when he spilled milk all over the place. I mean, little things like I went to the grocery store with all my kids. I mean, that I feel like is like, should be canonized for doing that. I'm just kidding. You know, but little wins. You know, I said no to the second piece of cake. It's just little things. I smiled at my husband when he came home and hugged him. And it literally turned my focus around. I thought I'm like, all right, I'll do it because whatever. It really did a huge difference. You just start to see the wins. And even my kids, they kind of hate it when I do it to them. But if they're like, I did so bad at school, well, let's talk about all the wins. And they're like, oh, but it's true. We focus on the one thing. Maybe you missed one workout. Maybe you went out on date night one night and you got chili cheese fries and 3 beers. And then you just flushed the entire week down the toilet because of one night that you had fun and enjoyed all of the deliciousness of that stuff. What about all the wins? The next day I drank water and I worked out. The next day I didn't give myself grief for enjoying the night before. What might that do? That to me is one of the biggest ones. Number 8, embrace a positive vision for your life based on what you value. So he quotes Reese Witherspoon, who said this. I'm going to just read the quote from the movie Walk the Line, when she played June Carter Cash. And she said, when people asked June Carter Cash how she was doing, she would say, I'm just trying to matter. I know, and then Reese Witherspoon said, I know what she means. We all want our lives to matter, and that's hard to do when we don't believe we matter. If there's one thing that I want for you in this group, is to gain a sense that you matter. Because I think whether you're a mom or not, as women in general, we've all had some point in our life where we feel invisible and we don't matter. Sometimes it happened in our childhood growing up. Sometimes it happens in our home with all our kids. It can happen in our workplace. And when that happens, the first thing we want to do is isolate from everyone because we feel like we don't matter. Because if you knew you mattered, you would treat yourself with so much more care, which is why you're here, because you want it to be true, because it is true. And so I just want to challenge you to like pay attention to what you value and make sure one of those things is you. Number 9, to practice the one word strategy. So he talks about if you could pick one word to describe yourself, what would it be? Like, how do you think about yourself? And if it's not a positive word, then we need to work on that. Because when you're willing to take that time to have a positive vision for who you are, and that's what you can discover in this group. You know, I'm not teaching this tonight because I expect you to like take all these notes and figure all these things out. These are steps, but we're all in different places. For me, my word is peaceful. I want to be a peaceful wife and mom. I want people to describe being around me as peaceful. I mean, I'd love also to be described as funny, but I'm not always funny, or to be faithful or this or that, but peaceful is like the word that really I try to like live that, and when I'm losing that in my day-to-day, it's when I know I need to like recalibrate my life. And then the last thing is taking responsibility, which high five to everyone. You're doing that by being here. You're taking a responsibility for your life. You're taking a responsibility for your health, but there's more to it than your health, as you're learning tonight, and you're making that time. So something he says here, and I love John C. Maxwell. Like, I love my grandparents, but he's like my other grandpa. He just doesn't know it. He's actually like my dad's age, which is kind of funny, but to me, I just relate to him more as a grandpa. But he wrote this, and I just want to read it. And then I'm going to give you 3 things for you, one, to work on to help, okay? He says here, I wish I could sit down with you, hear your story, and encourage you specifically in your journey. If you've had a difficult time and you don't feel good about yourself, I want to tell you that you do have value. You matter. Your life can change, and you can make a difference no matter what kind of background you've had or where you come from. No matter what trauma you've suffered or mistakes you've made, you can learn and grow. You can become the person that you have the potential to be. You just need to believe in yourself to get started. And every time you take a step, think a positive thought, make a good choice, practice a small discipline, you're moving one step closer. Just keep moving forward and believing. And our team was honored to be able to be mentored by John C. Maxwell a few years ago. And he really means that. Like, if he was on this call tonight, he would mean it to every single person here. I believe that. And I believe those words, and I would say them myself. Like, I want you to know you matter. So whether you get an A+ on your portion fix, like charting one day, or you rocked your, burpee bolts, or you fell on your face, it doesn't matter. Like, you matter. That is part of the journey. And maybe part of your journey is learning to laugh at yourself. That was something I had to learn, because I was so flippin' serious all the time about everything because of my perfectionism, I was afraid of ever looking stupid. Or maybe it's to learn to speak positively about yourself, or whatever it is, because it's going to trickle into your family. It's going to trickle into your community. It's going to trickle into your marriage. If you're married, it's going to trickle into your relationships. And that's why I feel like in my challenge group, the first time I did a challenge, it was 90 days, and I wanted to quit at day 30 because I was afraid of letting go of the negative. I realized I was going to have to stop thinking so nasty about myself, and I didn't know if I could do it. It scared me to actually be comfortable in my skin. And I remember when people I ran into down in Louisiana, when we went down for a wedding, I would talk with them, and we'd not been living up in Ohio for that long. It had been a little over a year. And a couple of them went up to Courtney afterwards and said, Kelly is really different. She's the most comfortable and happiest we've ever seen her. What's going on? Not that I was negative before, but I was always nervous, and I would self-criticize, and I didn't talk. And Courtney was it's just these groups. It's not just, and they noticed I was healthier, but it was more than that. And that's my hope for you. So the 3 things to choose from to start this week, because this is our Fit Foundations week. In our group, we're going to be talking about meal prep and giving some things to work through with your goals and picking a program. And for some of us, waiting for Morning Meltdown to start on the 15th for the prep workouts. For your mindset stuff, the first option is start a win journal. Get a little notebook, and every day, or if you have the To Be Mindset or Ultimate Portion Fix, you can do this anyway on that. If you get the B100 book, there's a daily page you can do it on. Keep it simple. I don't think you should have more than 1 notebook you write in a day if you can. But write down 5 things you do well every day. Just 5 things. You could do more. The second one, and this is a more challenging one, but this is the one I'm committing to. Make a list of your best quality, 100 positive things about yourself. That's going to be hard for me. I'm a lot better than I was, but I don't know, 100. I might call Angie or Sarah and be like, hey, tell me some positive things about myself. You can ask others. That's okay. But then he said, read it daily. And how long it takes you to write it is not to beat yourself up. It's just to show you how much you can be stretched here to really learn to love and care about who you are. Because I used to think like talking nicely about myself was like pride and ego. I mean, it's not. There's a way to be egotistical, but it's not to recognizing your gifts and your goodness is not negative. And then after you've been reading it, pick that one word. Like I know my word already, but pick that one word that's kind of who you are and who you want to be and how you want to live. It can kind of be part of your why. And then the third option is if you've already got those two down, take time every day to increase adding value to other people. I would say to start in the group, but also in your home. Maybe choose one person in your home or at work that you feel like you could add value to daily, whether it's smiling at them or telling them good morning. Angie said her word is joyful. Yes, I love that. You know, take time to add value to others in the group because it'll help the walls come down where you will know you belong and you matter. The theme for our summit this year for coaches is you belong here. And I love it because I think that we are a world of people who feel orphaned and you belong. And so, you know, if you feel like you're good with the self-talk stuff, then be the person who can help identify in other people their gifts because everyone needs to be complimented. Everyone, even the most confident, outgoing, perfectly put together people, they need to hear thank you or you did a great job or what you did matters. Like I've been honored to know some leaders in our company, and when I've thanked them sometimes for things they've shared, sometimes like thank you, I don't hear that very often, and it shocked me because it's like, how do you not hear that often? But it's because people assume they're fine. We assume everyone's fine unless we're airing the hot mess, and we don't all air a hot mess all the time. We don't need to. So that third one is to increase adding value to other people. But I recommend this book, y'all. I mean, like I said, I'm only in the beginning, but it's already rocking me in a good way. If you don't have something you're already enjoying. But I hope this helps you guys tonight because, like I said, like if you're struggling with doing the meal prep or you're struggling with doing the workouts or you're struggling with checking in the group, most likely it's because you don't think you're worth it. Or there's something negative inside that's making you want to pull away. Maybe not, but that's what it was for me. And I want to encourage you to break free from that. So does anyone have any questions? Oh, that was the Steubenville conference. Nice. That's awesome, Angela. Alrighty, well, I'm going to close us in prayer. Thank you guys for being here tonight. For those listening to the recording, this will be posted as the Monday focus, so you can post which one of the three you're going to do for accountability underneath. And then people can catch up on the recording this week. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this awesome opportunity to be together tonight. I just want to pray for everyone here and for everyone in our challenge groups, Lord, that you would just help them to see the gift that they are and that they matter and they have value. Lord, I would pray that when they look in the mirror, they see that they are fearfully and wonderfully made in your image, that they are a light to this world of you, that every piece of them is a masterpiece, that even the things they want to work on, they don't, you know, in their life and in their health, don't take away from their value. And as they work on these things in our group, they're going to grow in love and appreciation for who you've made them to be and be able to love others better. God, I just thank you so much for the opportunity to walk alongside with these women in their journey. And I pray as more and more people come into our community that they experience freedom. I pray for everyone to have a good and blessed week and that everyone gets good rest tonight, and just that you would continue to work on our hearts, Lord, and help us to be a community that helps us to not only reach our health goals, but also find freedom in who you created us to be. We pray all of this in your holy name. Amen. All right, y'all. You say amen?
Amen.
Amen. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night, everybody.